Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Is everybody able to hear me and see me? Is everybody able to hear me and see me? So if you are, then please let me know. Okay, if you can see me, then please let me know. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد فنسأل الله عز وجل بأسمائه الحسنى وصفاته العلى أن يجعلنا وإياكم من المستمعين للقول والمتبعين أحسنه إنه سبحانه وتعالى ولي ذلك والقادر عليه ثم أما بعد فالسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. With the will of Allah Jalla wa Ala, we are going to start with our journey through the Hikam Al-Ata'illah. The Hikam Al-Ata'illah, as you will see, is one of these famous books which have been taught throughout the centuries and through which a lot of people have been inspired, through which a lot of people found another way to connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the reason why I thought it would be important to have a look at this book, inshallah tabarak wa ta'ala, and to explain these different hikam. You should know that the knowledge of spirituality is not something technical. So that's the first thing we need to know. Like in general, when we talk about that which we call tasawwuf, or the knowledge of purifying the soul, that it is not something to know, but it is rather something to do. It is about being transformed. So with the will of Allah Jalla wa Ala, I'm going to first read the introduction from Kitab Al-Hikam of Imam Ibn Ata'illah. So that's this book, and as you see, it has gone all over the world with me. So I've been reading this book for years, over and over again. So this is the introduction I'm going to read from this book, inshallah ta'ala, and it will just give us a view on what this knowledge truly is and what we want to attain through this knowledge bi'idhnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I ask Allah Jalla wa Ala, and I asked in the past, in 2012, some of my mashaykh for permission to teach this book, which I had been given walillah alhamd, otherwise I wouldn't do it. And as I say, we are going to read about very high spiritual status, and this is far away from myself. I am far removed from it, but we want to look at it so that we would create the urge and the yearning in our hearts to eventually get to these levels, or rather be chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to climb the ladder, because in reality our spirituality will not grow thanks to what we do. Our spirituality, because you can have people who do everything they need to do, but at the end of the day they don't feel that spiritual change within themselves. So you can you can add to your prayers, you can add to your fasting, you can add to so many things you are doing in your life. But if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't want this to affect your spirituality, then it won't. And some people might feel that they are spiritually becoming stronger just by, for example, smiling, just by being kind to someone, just by helping out their wives or their husbands. So it's all about the inward state and the way that we connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So now let us have a look at what Imam Ibn Ata'illah rahimahullah azza wa jal says. The way that he starts his book is quite remarkable. He says, Alhamdulillahi alladhi mala'a quluba awliyaihi bimahabbati. So I think it's very important to read this part of the introduction, because it actually shows everything we need to know. It will show you and it will show me what this spirituality is about. Why is that some people, when they speak about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they touch hearts, and when other people speak about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they touch minds? Why is that some people, when they speak about Allah Jalla wa Ala and they say exactly the same thing as others, it might change the way you think and connect to Allah? And why is it that some people seem to be coming with things you never heard before and which are so necessary and beautiful, like these pearls that they are handing out to people? So what we need to know now is what is happening. And this is what Imam Ibn Ata'illah rahimahullah in his explanation of the Kitab Al-Hikam is exactly explaining. He says, Alhamdulillah alladhi mala'a quluba awliyaihi bi mahabbati. He says all grace is all praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has filled the hearts of his awliya, of those who are close to him, near to him, with his love. So this is the very first thing. Is the importance here is not that one loves, but the importance is that one is loved. And as I always say, when you love and the one you love doesn't love you, then you loving that person is actually the source of your pain and sadness. So loving someone can make you happy, and this is when your love is being returned and accepted. But when your love is not being replied to, when your love is not being answered to, then it is no longer love which you experience, but it is rather a state of panic because you fear that the one you love doesn't love you back, so you are in pain. So now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the fact that he says Allah filled the hearts of the awliya with his love, it means that they are already loved by Allah. Because if you're a wali, you are loved by Allah Jalla wa Ala. So now to continue, he says, Alhamdulillah alladhi mala'a quluba awliya'i bimahabbati wa ikhtassa arwahahum bishuhudi 'azamati. He said, and he has chosen their souls to witness his greatness. Because what we need to know is getting to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala isn't through the five senses. Yes, with the aql we will understand the concept, what is the concept of God, what is the concept of divine justice, and so much more. But when we speak about the true connection between creator and creation, then we speak about the soul being connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and not as much the mind, because with our minds we are very often connected to Allah. When we look at our minds, we believe that Allah is the creator. We believe that Allah is the provider. We believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who protects, the one who elevates, the one who brings down, the one who breaks, the one who makes, the one who withholds, the one who gives. So we believe that Allah Jalla wa Ala does all of these things. The problem is not in believing them, the problem is in connecting to it. And this connection doesn't happen here. And this is why very often we find that our actions and our emotional states and spiritual highs and lows are not in harmony with what we believe. They are not in harmony with what we know. Meaning that there is something else going on, something else which needs to be nourished, something else which needs to be fed, something else which needs to be strengthened, something else which needs to be taught, something else which needs to be submitted, something else which we need to take care of in order for us to be able to uplift our souls so that they are in harmony with what our minds know. And this is the biggest challenge, and this is what these hikam are about. Because if you change your perception, you will change your emotion and your spiritual attachment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it is not sufficient to perform physical actions to get to that level. It is rather a state of mind and a state of soul which will get us there bi'idhnillahi azza wa jal. So now one of the things Imam Ibn Ata'illah says, وَاخْتَصَّ أَرْوَاحَهُمْ بِشُهُودِ عَظَمَتِهِ. He's the one who chose them specifically to witness his greatness. Yeah? And then he says, وَهَيَّأَ أَسْرَارَهُمْ لِحَمْلِ أَعْبَاءِ مَعْرِفَتِهِ. And he is the one who prepared their inner selves to carry the heavy burden or the heaviness of knowing him. So this is the other thing. He says that knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very heavy upon the soul. Because knowing Allah Jalla wa Ala here is not about knowing with the mind. Even a non-Muslim knows how to know Allah with his mind. I mean, he can memorize the 99 names. I had some Christians who were attending my classes of the 99 names back in 2009, and they memorized the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but it didn't convince them. They saw the beauty of the names, but it didn't convince them to become a Muslim. So now, knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not just with the mind, as we said, but it's definitely on the inside. So he says he prepared them. Why does this need preparation? Why does it need preparation to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because it is larger than life. It is more than what we can imagine. And the strength of the connection between creator and creation is very big. I mean, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed a part of his light to the mountain crumbled and Musa fainted. And this was after Musa alayhi salam asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to look at him. So if you know this, and you know that if the Quran were to descend upon a mountain, that the mountain would be crushed and would crumble out of fear for Allah, that's the word of Allah Jalla wa Ala. So connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not an easy thing. Like we think like it's just about crying, it's just about shivering and shaking when you perform your prayers. But in reality, the connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes beyond that. The true connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they say, is so big, is so strong and so intense that if someone were to experience it, that this person would just be on the edge of forgetting everything about his own self. I mean, if you truly establish that connection with Allah and you come back from that connection, because we are human beings, we go back to life, how do you think you will feel if you really made that connection with Allah? You will always want to go back. You will always want to go back. And this is why the people who are of a very high spiritual level just want to go to paradise. They're no longer concerned with the world as of a way of speaking. They just have one thing in front of them, and that's, I want to go to paradise. I want to be closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I want to get to Allah Jalla wa Ala. So this is very important, barakallahu feekum, that we look at it from this perspective. If you want to know Allah Jalla wa Ala, then you need to be prepared. And how are you going to be prepared? Well, by following certain steps that we are going to mention of that, or that they are going to mention here, inshallah. Then he says, وَهَيَّ أَسْرَارَهُمْ لِحَمْلِ أَعْبَاءِ مَعْرِفَتِهِ فَقُلُوبُهُم فِي رَوْضَاتِ جَنَّاتِ مَعْرِفَتِهِ يَحْبُرُونَ. He says that their hearts are wandering through the gardens of knowing him. Their hearts are wandering through the gardens of his knowledge, meaning all the time, even when they don't speak, even when they sit, even when they think, they are always wandering, they are always strolling and walking through the gardens of knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because they know that whatever you see in life can't be disconnected from Allah Jalla wa Ala. We can't disconnect anything from Allah. Everything we see is a reminder of a creator, is a reminder of a provider, is a reminder of a protector, is a reminder of a giver, a bestower, and a taker, and so much more. So these people, whenever they are seen, they remind others of Allah Jalla wa Ala. And this is why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam made it very clear when he said the best people are those when seen whom remind others of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When they are seen, they remind others of Allah. Imam al-Munawi rahimahullah said, they remind others of Allah when they speak and when they remain silent, when they give and when they take, when they withhold and when they give, when they're angry, when they're pleased, because their behavior is in line with the meanings of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Their biggest goal, their greatest goal is to become a manifestation of these divine names. Being it a manifestation of the meaning, like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying, Ar-Rahimuna yarhamuhum ar-Rahman, those who have mercy, the most merciful will have mercy for them, or either by not practicing the name, but that which the name requires, like Allah is al-Mutakabbir, Nam subhanahu wa ta'ala, so we are going to be humble. So these people, whatever they do, they are always wandering through the gardens of knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he continues and he said, وَأَرْوَاحُهُمْ فِي رِيَاضِ مَلَكُوتِهِ يَتَنَزَّهُونَ. SubhanAllah, and they are on a journey with their souls through the gardens of the unseen. Through the gardens of the unseen. Because they don't look at the world, they look through the world. The people who are connected to Allah Jalla wa Ala, they don't look at the world like this, they look at the world like that. So whatever they see reminds them of Allah, reminds them of the hereafter, reminds them of turning back to Allah Jalla wa Ala. And then he says, وَأَسْرَارُهُمْ فِي بِحَارِ جَبَرُوتِهِ يَسْبَحُونَ. And then he says, فَاسْتَخْرَجَتْ أَفْكَارُهُمْ يَوَاقِيتَ الْعُلُومِ. With their minds, they take away from these deep oceans of knowledge, and out of these gardens of divine nearness, they take pearls and gems that they come back with to the people. So when you listen to people who are spiritually or have a soul connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you will see that the way they speak is different. It looks like they come back from a garden where they have gathered the most beautiful flowers, and then they start giving each one amongst the people listening to them, the flowers they are in need of, and that awake their spirituality, that strengthens their connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is, I think, and who am I to say this, astaghfirullah, and this is where I think that I and many like myself might fall short. We always want to come closer to Allah by merely physical actions, like I'm going to increase my prayer, I'm going to increase my fasting, I'm going to increase my reading of the Quran, I'm going to increase. And this is a good thing, of course, but in reality, the increasing of it should not be because one is looking for something more. The increasement of it should be the very proof that something on the inside is going on. And we are doing it in the other way around. I'm going to do more of this, more of that, and then I hope that I will what? Be spiritually enriched. What we need to do now, and that is exactly what the Hikam are doing, is we need to find the strength. We need to find that positive energy within ourselves, which will then not just drag us to it, but push us towards it, so that it will feel light. It will feel like it is the normal result. It is 1 + 1 = 2. And so these actions, when we look at the people of Mecca, you will see at the very beginning the ayat, they were not about prayer. They were not about zakat. They were not about these issues. They were rather about strengthening your bond with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, about thinking and pondering about the hereafter. They were about Yawm al-Qiyamah. They were about belief in the Creator and creation and so much more. Not meaning that we should go back to that time, because now prayer is obligatory, Ramadan is obligatory and so much more. So I'm not saying we need to destroy everything and start from scratch. But we need to derive from these things certain lessons, and we can't be blind for that. I mean, if you know that for more than 10 years there was no prayer, I mean, prayer was not obliged, then you know that everything they were going through was to prepare themselves. How were they being prepared? Well, by strengthening their hearts, by strengthening their yaqeen, by strengthening their connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is exactly, as I said, what we will do, or what the Hikam will do, bi'idhnillah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he says, فَاسْتَخْرَجَتْ أَفْكَارُهُمْ يَوَاقِيتَ الْعُلُومِ وَنَطَقَتْ أَلْسِنَتُهُم بِجَوَاهِرِ الْحِكَمِ وَنَتَائِجِ الْفُهُمِ. And he says, and then their tongues spoke diamonds of wisdom, no? and they attained the climax of understanding. They attain the climax of understanding. So these people who are chosen by Allah, who know Allah, they come back from the gardens of the unseen. And I'm not saying like they're really going in a garden and they I mean, it is about their minds, it's about their souls, it's about their insight, their understanding, their comprehension, and so much more. So they when they are in that state and they come back to you, they say these most beautiful things. Like Al-Hasan al-Basri, for example, like where does he get all this from? These wise sayings, Imam al-Qushayri, for example, and so many others. فَسُبْحَانَ مَنِ اصْطَفَاهُمْ لِحَضْرَتِهِ. Subhanallah, the one who has chosen them to be in their presence. Now, this is the most important part of this opening, is that being in the presence of Allah is not something you can force upon Allah. It is rather something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chooses one for. So it's not something that you can say, okay, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to be close to Allah. And this is usually what we do. We say to ourselves, when I do this, I will be close to Allah. I will be near to Allah. I'm going to fast every day. I'm going to read the Quran every day. And then inshallah, I will be like spiritually, I will attain my spiritual high. It doesn't work like that. Why? Because your spiritual high is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is not something, I mean, you can't force Allah to want you to be close to Him. You can only beg. You can only beg, right? And so when we do these extra things, we do it to beg. We don't do it because we want something for ourselves. And this is where we go wrong. Like we say, for example, I'm going to do this so then I feel better, or then I'm closer to Allah. It is not about you feeling better. It's not about you being closer to Allah. It is about you wanting for yourself to establish the haqqullahi alayk. Yani that you want to give Allah's rights, you want to give Allah's haqq upon you. And that is that you breathe for His sake, that you live for His sake, that you give for His sake, that you withhold for His sake, that you become angry for His sake, that you forgive for His sake. That all of these things are in reality a manifestation of your connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is why it is important to know that nobody can force Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to draw him closer. That's merely impossible. So he says فَسُبْحَانَ مَنِ اصْطَفَاهُمْ لِحَضْرَتِهِ وَاخْتَصَّهُمْ بِمَحَبَّتِهِ فهم بين سالك ومجذوب ومحب ومحبوب أفناهم في محبة الذات وأبقاهم شهود آثار صفاته. Yani subhanallah, and then he says, and yani he has chosen them to reside in his nearness. And of course, the nearness here is not a physical one, as we know, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is elevated above time and place, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So فَسُبْحَانَ مَنْ اصْطَفَاهُمْ لِحَضْرَتِهِ وَاخْتَصَّهُمْ بِمَحَبَّتِهِ. Yani he has chosen them individually to be loved by him. فَهُمْ بَيْنَ مَجْذُوب بَيْنَ سَالِكٍ وَمَجْذُوب. So these people, they are either salik or either majdhub. And these are terms that we find very often in the books of spirituality. Yani the salik is the one who is traveling towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they say traveling towards Allah is traveling through your own self, because traveling towards Allah is not something which happens physically, it's something which happens spiritually. So traveling towards Allah is actually traveling away from yourself. So you are traveling and you're leaving yourself behind. You're leaving your jealousy behind. You're leaving your envy, your stinginess, your displeasement with or discontentment with the divine decree. You're gossiping. You're lying. You're looking at things which you shouldn't be looking at, listening to things that you shouldn't be listening to, and so much more. So a travel to Allah is no more than traveling away from yourself. And this is why it is incorrect to say that the times we live in are the reason that we are spiritually weak. The times we live in are the perfect times to travel towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in. And that was the same for everybody. The only thing is, everybody was created in a certain everybody was created in a certain time, in a certain period in time, because these things which are happening in the time where he or she is living in are exactly that which he or she needs to get to Allah. And that's what we don't understand. Like we say, if I were to have lived in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, I would have done such and such. Maybe if we would have lived in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, we would have been munafiqeen. Maybe we would not have, we wouldn't hold on to the religion. We don't know. So the time we live in is the time which has been created for you to live in, because that is the perfect time for you, to find your way to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in. So, and then he says, وَمُحِبٍّ and majذوب, and the majذوب I will explain that later. And he said, وَمُحِبٍّ وَمَحْبُوب, they are either in being loved or loving, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أَفْنَاهُمْ فِي مَحَبَّةِ ذَاتِهِ, he made them disappear in the love for his being, and he left for them witnessing the athar of sifatihi, the manifestations of his sifat subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, let us read. This is an introduction. I made a PowerPoint slides presentation that will be either for the second part of the class or the first upcoming class, inshallah, because I want to read the introduction, which is here. As you see, I this book, as I said, I've been reading for, I think now, around maybe 11 years. And every time I read it all over again, I find new things to take away from it, subhanAllah. So he says, this book is about tasawwuf. Today, when people hear about tasawwuf, then a lot of people might say, okay, why am I listening to this guy anyway? Let me just go away. I mean, tasawwuf, a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. What we need to know, barakallahu feekum, when we speak about tasawwuf as a word, it's a word which existed already from 150 after the hijrah, and exactly as al-Sunnah didn't exist at the beginning with that name, tasawwuf didn't exist, usul al-fiqh didn't exist, the word ulum al-hadith didn't exist, nahu, sarf didn't exist, al-qawafi maybe. So you see that a lot of the terms that we are using in our Islamic sciences didn't exist at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. So in order to know whether one should refute something or not, one should look at its reality, not at the name. because this is exactly what Iblis la'natullahi alayhi did when he came to Adam alayhi salam. Yani he just changed the name of the tree, wasn't it? He said Shajaratul Khuld. Yani it's Shajaratul Khuld. Yani it is the tree of eternity. Well, changing the name didn't change the reality. So at the very beginning, when scholars used to speak about tasawwuf, what they were referring to was a knowledge or a science which would teach you how to purify your outward behavior and your inward state. That is what tasawwuf was about, and nobody had a problem with that name. Of course, today, yes, there are strange things happening in the name of tasawwuf. I mean, like very strange things, but there are also very strange fatwas being given in the name of fiqh. There are also very strange tafasir going around, which might even be kufr. So it is not the name which will tell you whether something is wrong or not, because at the basis, the name tasawwuf or the science tasawwuf was a normal science. And this is why also you see that people like Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, for example, and he has a book about tasawwuf in his Majmu' al-Fatawa, which is very normal. But because some of the people mess it up, or some of the people, and in the name of tasawwuf, do strange things, then all of a sudden people they look at tasawwuf as being something strange and something which has to do with shirk and something which has to do with people worshipping their shaykh and so much more. All of this is not tasawwuf. Now, all of that actually goes against tasawwuf. So tasawwuf in reality, and I'm not going back all the way to the history of tasawwuf, but already in 177, now we had a house in Basra where people were being taught the ilm of tasawwuf. That was by Shaykh Abdul Wahid. He was one of the great scholars. So now, barakallahu fikum, yani the true tasawwuf, what is that? So we are not talking about tasawwuf, strange people doing strange things, but rather as a science. Like Imam al-Munawi rahimahullah said, لبست الصوف مرقوعا وقلت أنا الصوفي ليس كما زعمت إنما الصوفي من تصفى من الأيام ويحك لو عقلت. Yani you are wearing yani old clothes and you are saying I'm the Sufi. It's not as you are saying or pretending or claiming. Yani the Sufi is the one who purifies himself during the day and during the night, if only you were to understand. So this is what we are talking about and not something else. So Ibn Ajiba rahimahullah, yani he's explaining what tasawwuf truly is. So let us look at tasawwuf from a neutral point of view. Like you should come and say, okay, I have no opinion about tasawwuf whatsoever, apart from the fact that I've just been told it's a science. So all the rest which comes to your mind, people doing strange things, get rid of that. So we are talking about the reality according to Ahlul Ilm. Imam al-Junayd, rahimahullah azza wa jal, said, هو أن يميتك الحق عنك ويحييك به وقال أن تكون مع الله بلا علاقة. Yani subhanAllah, he says, al-Junayd, yani the true meaning of tasawwuf is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kills your ego and revives you for his sake. Yani so this is the goal behind purifying the soul and outward behavior. It is so that our egos would be killed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that our souls would revive to live for Allah Jalla wa ala alone. And then he says, أن تكون مع الله بلا علاقة. He says, and that you are with Allah without any reason. Yani connection, it means without any connection, yani not for any reason. You are with Allah for the sake of Allah, not because you want to be protected, not because you want paradise. All of these things will be given. You know that already, so don't turn it into your goal. Your goal is Allah, and all the rest is extra. So he says it is that you are with Allah without wanting anything for it in exchange. And then he says, and they said that التصوف is الدخول في كل خلق سني والخروج من كل خلق دني. It is that you enter into every praiseworthy character, inward and outward, and that you get rid of every bad and evil trait, inward and outward. Now another one is a very nice one. Look, he says, وَقِيلَ أَنْ لَا تَمْلِكَ شَيْئًا وَلَا يَمْلِكَكَ شَيْءٌ أو وأن لا يملكك شيء. Yani it is that you don't possess anything, none, and that nothing possesses you. Now this sounds very strange, but they are talking about the results of purifying the soul. Yani that you don't possess anything. What does that mean? We do possess things. Well, that we know that the things which we possess are not ours. Whatever whatever we have, yani it is not ours. It is temporarily something which has been given to us, which we are allowed to use while we are working for the one who possesses our work, our lives, our souls, our eyes, our ears, our nose, our mouths, our everything, our passions. Everything should be for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is why Allah Jalla wa ala says, أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ وَأَضَلَّهُ اللَّهُ عَلَى عِلْمٍ وَخَتَمَ عَلى قَلْبِ وَخَتَمَ عَلى Yani Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, did you see the one that took his desires as his Lord? And that Allah made go astray while he had the knowledge of the guidance. Now, وَخَتَمَ عَلَى سَمْعِهِ وَعَلى قَلْبِهِ and he veiled his ears and he veiled his heart, and he placed the veil over his eyes. So now in very brief, the tasawwuf is that one knows I don't possess anything. And this is al-istislamu tam. This is complete submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning that the moment you say the shahada, you have just testified and clarified that, Ya Rabbi, whatever you do with me, I am not mine. I myself, I am yours. My children are yours. My money is yours. My health is yours. My eyes, my ears, my mouth is yours. So I declared La ilaha illallah. So I no longer have any right whatsoever over anything I see. And I just turn myself into a deliberate slave, a conscious slave who knows that the only thing his master will give him if he serves him is that he will let him reside in paradise to look at his master there. As for he has no right to look at his master. He's just working all the time, all the time, all the time. He's being tested in everything he does. So this is the state we are in, and that's why the Prophet ﷺ said when he came back from Jibreel alayhi salam, like Imam Ahmed rahimahullah mentioned in Kitab Al-Zuhd, إنما أنا عبد آكل كما يأكل العبد أجلس كما يجلس العبد. I am but a servant. I will sit like a servant. I will walk like a servant. I will eat like a servant. I will sleep like a servant, meaning I don't deserve anything. So this is the state we are in. So I would like you now to look at everything which you are wearing, and everything you possess. Look at it. That what we say about that's mine, mine, mine. Now, no, it's not yours. You are being given a responsibility over it as long as it is your possession, but it's not yours. Everything you are wearing is his. And even the phone there which you are using, or the screen, or the air which we are breathing is not ours. So the goal behind tasawwuf is to reach the level where you say, I don't possess anything and nothing possesses me. What does that mean, nothing possesses me apart from Allah? And what does that mean, nothing possesses you? Nothing will be your policy maker or spiritual guide apart from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Quran, the Sunnah, and that you follow, and that you don't allow people to play your emotions. And this is also very important, barakallahu. When nothing possesses you, is as, and I'm sorry, I'm talking about this, but I didn't reach that stage. I'm not gonna pretend and sit here like, wow, I'm the big murabbi, I'm gonna tell you the way it is. I talk about things that I believe to be true. I feel them in my heart that they are true. Now it is for me, exactly as many others like me, to now become that, you see? And the becoming of it is so much different from believing it, talking about it, or feeling it. And this is where we need to roll up our sleeves, where we need to say, I want to be that change. I want to make that change. So actually what they are saying here is exactly what the Sahabiya did when her son died. When she asked her husband, she said, if our neighbor were to lend us something, now we would, if he would give us something for a certain amount of time, and then he would ask it, would you become angry? Like if I were to give you a pen, and a day later I say, can you give me my pen back? You're not going to say, who do you think you are? You're going to say, this is your pen, tfaddal, thank you that you allowed me to use it. Well, she did the same thing. So she asked her husband, would you be angry? The husband said no. He said, well, she said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took back what was his. He took the life of our son, and then he became angry. He said, why didn't you tell me? So if you're going to look at this, this is the highest state. It is where you, and this is the meaning of Islam, where you submit yourself 100% to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is why they say, this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِذْ قَالَ لَهُ رَبُّهُ أَسْلِمْ. When Allah said to Ibrahim alayhi salam, Aslim, yani submit yourself entirely. قال أسلمت لرب العالمين. Yani I have submitted myself to Rabbil Alameen. And the submission to Allah in the way we dress is very easy. Not always, but can be easy. Praying five prayers can be easy. Fasting Ramadan can be easy. But when it comes down to controlling and tempering the heart, not to go against what Allah made happen in your life, that's difficult. And that's Islam right there. And this is why we find that in Arkanul Imani and Arkanul Islam, we find the Shahada twice. So we find in Iman, يعني إيمان بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله بالله ورسله. In Islam, why does it first start with the Shahada? Because the true Islam is also a state of the heart, and not just prayer, not just zakat, not just hajj, but it is also what? It is also and so, but also the inward state of someone of La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. So then he continues rahimahullah and keeps on explaining what it means. He says, استرسال النفس مع الله على ما يريد. Subhanallah. It is that you find happiness and peace of mind, and that you submit yourself and you go with the flow of the divine want. Yani that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to happen. So that you are like a leaf. You are like a leaf on the river. Yani you can't go against the flow. But look at the leaf. When a human being jumps into that raging river, well, he drowns. Why? Because he resists. Now, he resists. And if you were to try to float on the water, which would be very difficult when you're in a state of panic, but the leaf is just floating. It's light. It just says, take me where you want me to, where you want me to go. And this is the way that we should be with the qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal. And the reason why we are in pain when things happen is because we don't submit ourselves to Allah. And that's why we experience that pain. Of course, we will experience pain. That's normal. But that true pain, where you can't find any ease, any comfort in knowing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what is the one taking some decisions in your life. And that is when you are overpowered and you didn't calculate it. You didn't think about it. I mean, subhanAllah. Anyway, now, Bismillah. I don't know if you can ask any questions here. Then we can ask this. I don't know if that's possible. I don't see that. Is that possible, Khayyam? Okay. So let's continue. Then he says one of the other things which define what tasawwuf truly is al-inakhatu ala bab al-habib wa in turid, is yani that you hold on to the door, you keep on begging in front of the door even when they send you away. Now, because you know that that means every time you fall down, you stand up again, you get up again, you fall, you get up. And don't let shaitan make you believe that you have fallen too many times and that there is no logical reason why you wouldn't fall again this time. It's not about not falling, it's about not getting up. Don't forget that. Now, it's not about falling. You fall and you will and I will, but then you get up again. But the problem is, if you fall and you don't get up, then and you die in that state, you die in a state of sin. But if you fall and you get up, knowing that you might fall again, then at least if you were to die, you die in a state of repentance and tawbah. Allah, and here he said, Safwatul Qurb. Now, بعد قدرة البعد. He says it is the pureness of being near to him after the filth of being far away from him. We all know how it feels when you are in a certain period in time where you are far away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And usually when we are close to Allah Jalla wa ala, we feel it. We feel it in our prayers. We just feel it. Even when we just sit down and we are at ease, we feel like, okay, I'm in a good position. And then sometimes, subhanAllah, it can be that you pray, you fast, and you just feel it's not happening. And then a lot of people give up on a lot of deeds because they say, like, because it is not happening, why should I continue? And then we tell these people, you are not continuing because of a feeling. You are continuing because you want to express your servitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you don't worship Allah for a feeling. You don't worship Allah for a feeling. It's not even a proof you're feeling. I mean, the proof that He loves you lies behind the fact that you worship Him. And this is why The biggest blessing is witnessing that he chose you to worship him, rather than looking for that feeling. Because then it's okay, if I don't have a feeling, which is divine gift, that feeling, if I don't have the spiritual feeling, well, then I will just stop worshiping. Oh, so you were actually looking for a spiritual high and not for the Lord Most High. And that's problematic. So he says, it is about being the pureness of being close to him, after having been far away from him. That's what tasawwuf does. And then he says, وَقِيلَ الْجُلُوسُ مَعَ اللَّهِ بِلَا هَمٍ, that you sit with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without any worry. Meaning that you come at a certain stage in life where Allah suffices you, where Allah is sufficient for you. And usually that's after the age of 40, 50, where people start to to take things more, how do you say? Where people start taking things more easily, but that has nothing to do with spirituality. You can also attain that level when you're 20, when you're 25, when you're 30, younger, older. It is when you come at a level where you say, whatever the people do, even if my own mother or my own son or daughter would turn against me, even if all the world were to accuse me of something which I haven't done, then this wouldn't bother me because Allah knows it is not true. I mean, that's a very high level. And not everybody can get there. But this is what tasawwuf eventually will bring you to. And it will bring you to a level where Allah is your sole companion, the only one you need. And that all the people which you have in your life, which you love you love them, of course, but you won't be dependent. Your happiness won't depend on them loving you more or less, of applauding more or less. And this is why Yahya ibn Mu'adh al-Razi said, you will not attain sincerity until you are like a baby who doesn't care what you say as long as you say it nicely and gently. So if you tell a small little baby, with a very harsh voice, with a very nice voice, MashaAllah, you nice little baby, or you were to tell the baby, oh, you ugly, most ugly baby of the world, the baby would still smile. Why? It doesn't care. Because as long as the intonation of your voice doesn't change, it doesn't care what you say. Now as long as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us, whether it be things we like or we dislike, we all like it, because the intonation of what he gives is guidance, is opening our hearts, opening our minds. It's always a cure. So whatever comes from him, it's always kind. It's always kind. Why? Because it's always what we need. So this is why he says, al-julusu ma'allahi bila ham. Allah. So then let's continue. Now, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. So we are going to have a break because I feel I'm going to cough a bit, and then we start again in 5 to maximum 10 minutes inshallah ta'ala, and then we continue until 11 or 12 wherever someone may be inshallah. So 5 minutes break and then we continue bi'idhnillah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.